give me enough time to put a lollipop in my kid's mouth, so happy days. Thank you so much for inviting me here and to join with you today for a little bit of dancing, even if I was getting disapproving looks from the kid, but also to come together to say no to racism, because unfortunately we have seen it rear its ugly head time and time again, and whatever form it takes, we know that we as a town, as Luton and as a country know that that isn't us. We say no to it. And one of the things that joins us together in Luton is our shared love of things. Our shared love of food, most certainly. Our shared love of art. Our shared love of music, especially. And that is what we've heard today. We've heard some brilliant songs. I had to explain that some of those songs are from a very long time ago to the kid. And she was like, what, the 80s? I was like, that wasn't that long ago. But it is really important that we come together, that we join together, and we show everyone what we're about. And this is what we're about. We are about sharing. We are about celebrating one another. And that doesn't just happen. There's a reason why Luton stays together, and that's because of good people continuing to make effort to share and to learn and to understand and to love. And that's what's really important today. So I am really grateful to be here, and I am, like, this is basically Nigel Farage's worst nightmare, and I couldn't be prouder. So thank you very much, and have a fantastic rest of the day. Take care.
There is no place for homophobia or transphobia, and then there is no place for racism at all in Luton, and that's what we stand for, really. If you want someone to talk to, me and Rosie are at the back. We do host quite a lot of different groups around Luton, for our trans community, for our gay, lesbians, etc., etc. We are here to support you in the right way that you're supposed to be treated. So, yeah.
I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I wasn't expected to speak, so that's nice for everybody. So yeah, I'm Cllr Marsh, I'm the Vice President of Luton NEU, and we're proud to be facilitating this event, helping support, doing what we can. I'm also a teacher up at the sixth form, and we've had a busy week at the sixth form. We're on strike on Thursday to pay justice. We're taking action again Tuesday and Wednesday. It's an early start, half 7, but if you can come down and show support, that'd be great. Come and speak to us at the back where Steve was there. He's popular singer. Oh, there he is. Come and speak to us there at the back if you want to hear more about that. On Friday we had a quick photo op to show solidarity with Palestine. Because as unionists, trade unionists, we're also internationalists, so we understand that these things are connected. And then Saturday, here we are, so just doing some work in the community. Now, as you might have noticed, I'm not from Luton. When I first moved to Luton, I ended up in Bury Park, like so many other arrivals. That's that no-go area, according to the Daily Mail, of Bury Park, you know, a place where you can't go. And I don't think I felt as welcome as when I lived in Bury Park. And I think it's important for us to know and remember that it's people like the Daily Mail spreading that hate that fuels our enemies in Tommy Robinson, etc. We need to keep the press accountable as well. Because what? Yeah, big up Bury Park, absolutely. And we need to remember that it's not colour that divides us or creed, it's class. It's not migrants' fault, as John Ray mentioned, that our pay in the sixth forms is 28% lower than it was in 2010. It's the class issue, and class unites us, and we need to keep the class fight alive. Thank you, comrades.
Good evening, comrades, friends, brothers and sisters. As Matt says, I'm from a number of organisations that I'm proud to be a member of. Stand Up to Racism, Care for Calais, that looks after refugees, both in France and the continent and here. And also, I'm chair of Luton City of Sanctuary. And Luton City of Sanctuary is an organisation that says refugees are welcome here. We will not stand for the racist nonsense that's thrown at us day after day after day. Now, I first of all want to start off by congratulating the organisers of today's event, Love Music Hate Racism. As you can see from the grey hairs, I'm a veteran of rock against racism, which we established in the 70s to say we will not have other people say that this is normal. Racism is not normal, it is divisive, and we won't have it. And that's got to be said loud and clear all the time. And I want to say this. There's an old-fashioned saying from my tradition that says, if you don't have socialism, you'll have barbarism. And the barbarians are at the gate, and we know where they are. And I hate to dampen the mood, we know who they are. They're Farage and his crew. And he would be very keen to link up with our local boy, Stephen Yaxley Lennon, and bring their causes together. And we've got to stop that. But we've got to understand something. Their views don't come out of nowhere. Racism and hatred don't come out of nowhere. They're born of broken promises. They're born of a failure to meet basic needs. They're born of not giving people hope. And we've got to stand up against that. So when we hear them, we've got to do more than just condemn them. We've got to understand and say to our politicians, you've got to do better. And you have got to say this. It is not an immigrant's fault, or a Muslim's fault, or a black person's fault that there are no council houses being built. It's not an immigrant's fault that you can't get appointments at the doctors. It's not an immigrant's fault that water companies are taking profits hand over fist while they're putting shit in the water. And it's not an immigrant's fault that closes down factories here in Luton and elsewhere because of poor industrial planning. The fault lies with our politicians, and they've got to come up with that fair and square. So when we're fighting racism, when we're talking about not allowing the nonsense of talking about illegal immigrants, we've got to understand where things are coming from. So we've got challenges. And what you're doing today here, Frank, and what the acts, which I've really enjoyed, are doing, are saying one thing. We will not normalise racist and homophobic behaviour. We will not normalise talk of illegality. We will stand for the poor, for the oppressed, and for the people who are being left behind. Because if we don't do it, if we don't do it through our actions and through our politics and through our music, other people will. And the people who are waiting, we don't like. So well done LMHR, well done everyone for being here. Keep the fight going, don't be silent.
Okay, can you all hear me and see me? Yeah. Thank you. In 1977, during the last during the Callaghan Labour government, the far right were on the increase. They were really, really getting big. The National Front, the British movement, and those fascist organisations were on the increase across the country, including Luton. In 1977, a group of us got together and then we organised ourselves. There were punks, rastas, soul boys and girls, teddy boys and girls, and we organised ourselves to use music to counteract the rise of the extreme right. So we were teenagers, and everyone was into music, and especially in Luton, because there's a lot of unity between working class, black and white, and brown and whatever colour youths. We were all together, we were all working class, and we were united by our position in society. There were no jobs, there was no support for us, there were no youth clubs, no facilities in those days. We were in a massive economic crisis, and that's why the far right increased. We organised ourselves, we got together, we were all into music, and the first Rock Against Racism event happened around that time. And I was quite heavily involved in Rock Against Racism in 1977. And out of that came the Anti-Nazi League. There were so many protests in Luton. We joined the protests in London. And then from Luton, we all went down to the first Anti-Nazi League and Rock Against Racism carnivals in Victoria Park. We saw the Clash, X-Ray Specs, Steel Bots,
And so what I'm trying to explain is there is a history to why we're here today. Because things are back, they haven't really changed. They're back to where they were, and in fact they've got much worse, right? Because fascism and racism has got into the mainstream. It's got into the House of Parliament. You've got the likes of Farage and Reform UK, who's spouting racism, and immigrants and the descendants of immigrants are being attacked day in and day out across the Western world. We are the enemy, right? And it's about time we united with our allies and defended our communities, and indeed working class communities, because it's taking, it's deflecting the blame on where the blame should be. So what I'm trying to say is thank you for coming tonight. Music plays an important role in the struggle against racism and fascism, in the struggle for equality of all peoples, irrespective of their race, their gender, or their sexuality, or their ability or disability, right? So music is an important tool in our armory to resist. So, love music, hate racism. Today, rock against racism. Today, we're going to oppose the extreme right because the situation is so bad. And we're seeing racism worldwide, what's happening in Gaza, what's happening in the West Bank, what's happening in Lebanon. That's pure racism and fascism. Full stop. Okay? So we've got to oppose that. Arts and culture, music plays an important part of that struggle. There are so many grassroots events taking place in Luton. Please join those events, support them, build for them. I'm also involved in the Desi Fest in Luton. We have some comrades here from Desi Fest. The Palestinians are now in the campaign here. I've seen him. They're involved in the struggle. There's other groups around here. So we all have a common struggle. We all have a common fight. This is the start. This is the rebirth of love, music, hate racism in Luton, and we need to grow it, because if we don't grow it and don't get young people involved, God knows what's going to happen to all of us who are progressive, who are radical, who are left-wing, people of colour. Thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon everybody, and I know it's always odd when I turn up at something where there's music and performances and they think I'm going to be a performer, but I'm actually the High Sheriff from Bedfordshire, and if anyone doesn't know what that means, I'm the King's representative for law and order and the judiciary system in the county, and as part of our roles we go out and we work with the community and we speak with the different communities across Bedfordshire about what we can do to make our community stronger and happier, and events like today are a prime example of what we like to see, because it's all about communities, cultures and individuals coming together for the greater good of peace and harmony in our community. So it was really good when I had a conversation with Frankie not long ago, who told me that I think it was still in the initial discussion stage then, about 6 months ago, that this was planning in progress. So I was really pleased to see when he came to me with a date. We've got a date and this is what we're doing, and we've got good support from the community. So, it's something that we should be really proud of, that our community, just not just in Luton, but I'm here representing Bedfordshire, has got such a great culture, a range of cultures, and from all of these things I always say that different, because you're different doesn't mean it's a dispute. Differences mean it's the start of a conversation. Once you have conversations, you have more understanding and tolerance of each other. So that makes a huge difference in how we can all collaborate our futures together. So really, really pleased to see that this Love Music, Hate Racism has been revived after the original start in 2008, 19 years, 30 years, sorry. 13, sorry. 13 years, and well, you're going to hit 30 years, I'm sure. But the passion that I've heard from people about this event is incredible. So I wish you many, many more years of sharing and embracing each other's cultures, and there's no need for racism. Simple as that. And actually music's a healer, music brings people together as well, so it's great. So really looking forward to seeing Love Music Hate Racism and all the supporting organisations grow bigger and stronger together in future years. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for the invite to here this afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. What I'm going to do is a very quick snapshot of the inspiration of music to me, but also the racism I've seen over my, I would like to say short life, but over my life, the racism I've seen. So I'm going to give a quick snapshot, if that's okay with everybody. Firstly, I'm really pleased to speak at the relaunch of Love Music Hate Racism. Music has been an inspiration to me all my life, and I've been empowered by music. I love the music facing up to and speaking out against governments, against corporate companies who use power as a weapon. They could not hide behind this music. I don't know if you remember the song, We Shall Overcome, sung outside the White House. It helped to stop the Vietnam War. That's what power music has. In the early 60s, I fell in love with soul music. Sam Cooke, Jackie Wilson, Bobby Womack, Otis Redding, Aretha Franklin, Curtis Mayfield, just to name a few. These were strong black artists who, because of their race, was not allowed to share stages with their so-called white superiors. Elvis Presley sang black music, but nothing like Jackie Wilson, if anybody wants to listen to Jackie Wilson. In 1963, Sam Cooke recorded a song, A Change Is Gonna Come. A song in support of the black movement which moved me emotionally. Black gospel, souls and blues was the birth of music for me. 1970, Marvin Gaye, What's Going On album. A masterpiece against hate and war and young black men being sent to die. The punk era, Sex Pistols, Clash and more who informed people that you do not need to listen to the so-called government. Be free, be young and be brave. I was inspired by all these and more artists. The music of protest that I loved gave me the grounding for what I do today. I have seen first-hand racial abuse. Coming from London and being raised on Thai farm, I saw first-hand the racial tensions. My so-called friends who would take pleasure of visiting Bury Park for a fight. I had friends in Bury Park and in Luton, and this action upset me. Then came the birth of the Asian Luton youth movement to stop these actions, saying enough is enough. Music again was a big part of their inspiration. Growing up watching Luton Town, my favourite footballer, Ricky Hill, got abuse every time Luton went to Millwall, Chelsea and West Ham, the home of the National Front. Was very upsetting. Why are they abusing this fine athlete with pure skills? It's because he was black. I thought enough, I can't put up with this. I believe in the phrase, love music, hate racism, and for me, it was the music that gave me the inspiration to be who I am. To be free, dance, sing and love each other. No matter what race or culture, we all share the love of music. Now today, this is even more stronger, because we still face the right-wing fascism. In Luton, we will say, not in our town. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for all the organisers, for all you've done today to organise such a wonderful event. You know, it gives me a great pleasure to see so many diverse people here from the diverse communities. And that's what for me, for somebody who's lived in Luton, that's what is the greatest of Luton. It's the diversity, the culture, and music is something that's universal. It brings us all together. We can all relate to music. And education is what we need to do, is educate what would I describe? Sadly, there's a number of people who still seem to see colour, ethnicity, as something, but we're all human beings, and it's those human values that we must teach in schools. We must teach it. You know, we must accept each other's differences. We must understand and respect each other, because I think respect is such an important part of life, and that has been done. But one thing we must do, racialism comes in various forms of, you know, it comes in so many different forms. We must, as a community, as a human beings, we must call it out at every opportunity and stand up for our rights and other people's rights. We all have to coexist. We're all on this planet for once, and I hope that these events and through music we can bring our communities together and we can build a better and brighter future for our children and our communities. So once again, I would like to say thank you so much for everybody for organising such a great event. Thank you.
I work for Friends of the Earth, but I'm here today to represent Luton Friends of the Earth, and my whole gang is over there at the table. Go and say hello to them. Friends of the Earth are a social justice organisation that's been around for over 50 years, campaigning on the environment and climate and the biodiversity crisis. But Friends of the Earth are also calling for a ceasefire. Sorry, you can hear me out. We're also calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, so you can go to Friends of the Earth's website. Tarek, thank you so much for raising awareness of the issues that are happening there. So what I'm going to talk about today very quickly is I'm going to say that climate change is racist.
Yes, it is.
And some of you might go, how can climate change be racist? Well, I want to talk to you about how we need an intersectional solution to the climate crisis, and that is why I'm really proud that Luton Friends of the Earth and some of my colleagues from the Luton Green Hub are here today to help support Love Music, Hate Racism, because it's really important. We cannot have climate justice without social justice. We cannot have climate justice without anti-racism. So, why is climate change racist? Well, on an international level, on a global level, we know that here in Britain, we have got our British colonial fingers all around we know that there is British money in Mozambique, in the Cabo Delgado. Well, Total are doing a natural gas project in Mozambique. We know that is British money. And we know that those people in Mozambique have been displaced. We know that there are guerrilla factions doing the security on that gas. We know that that is British money. Have we not learned anything from what happened to the Ogoni people in Nigeria to Shell? How are we going to stop these devastations of communities in the global south, and when we know that the British are behind it and financing this? So, it's also here though, we know that climate change is racist here in the UK. We know that because we know that communities in the UK, I forgot to say, that the countries that are most affected by climate change in the global south are the countries that have done the least to cause it. So there are floods in Bangladesh. Bangladesh did not cause climate change. There are fires in countries in the global south that they did not cause climate change. So we need a global solution to climate change to support these countries. Here in the UK, we know that the most vulnerable communities in the UK are affected by air pollution. We know that the communities most vulnerable to climate change in the UK are living in damp homes that are not fully insulated. There are communities, the most vulnerable communities in the UK are the ones that live in towns that don't have public transport infrastructure, that can't get to their jobs unless they have a car, a petrol car that they can't afford. These are the vulnerable communities that are affected by climate change, and that is why we, Friends of the Earth, believe that climate change is racist. And so we're just so proud that there are organisations like Love Music, Hate Racism, thank you so much Mazzy, that we can work with, because like I said, we need an intersectional solution to the climate crisis and the racism crisis, and we're so proud to be here. So thank you so much, because there is no climate justice, no social justice without anti-racism at its core. Thank you so much for letting me talk today.
The return of Love Music, Hate Racism to Luton marks not just an event, but a movement, a reminder that we must always challenge hate and discrimination wherever it arises. This is a moment for us to come together, celebrate our differences, and affirm our collective commitment to building a more inclusive and more compassionate society. On behalf of Luton Council, I extend my heartfelt thanks to the organisers, performers, and everyone involved in bringing LMHR back to Luton. Your dedication to this cause inspires us all, and to everyone here today, thank you for your support and for standing with us in the fight against racism. Let this event serve as a powerful reminder that Luton is a town where it has no place, where love and music unite us all, and where diversity is always our greatest strength. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Rachel Hopkins here, and I'm the MP for Luton South and South Bedfordshire. And so if you want to talk about diversity, absolutely. I have a very diverse constituency in all manners of the word. But it's great to be here today. Thank you to everybody for inviting us, and so far brilliant performances that I caught as they arrived. And Ethan, fantastic. I think he might have... Oh no, he's there. Really well done. Another round of applause for Ethan, because it takes a lot of guts to get on stage. And I've got a few decades practice of, you know, getting up and performing, and he did brilliantly. So I'm really pleased to be here. Love Music, Hate Racism is a really brilliant initiative. And I was just mentioning earlier to Frankie, a few years back when there were the We Shall Overcome gigs at the George and at the Castle, and it's great that we're bringing it back with Love Music, Hate Racism. And as has already been said by many others, it's what unites us across all our diversities. And as a Lutonian growing up in Luton, absolutely, it's been running through me all my life, whether I was in school with all my mates, real diverse backgrounds, Denby High School hockey team. I had every part of the world playing, and we stuck together because we understood that there was strength in our diversity. Again, in the world of work, we need to think about how the diversity has made our workplace stronger. And I think the terrible news this week about the potential closure of the Vauxhall plant is a kick and a blow to championing diversity, because when you walk around that workplace, you see everybody from a whole variety of backgrounds. Many people came to Luton from other parts of the world to work at Vauxhall. And so we're all fighting really hard to try and keep it open, and it's early days yet, but obviously that is all about unity and sticking up for everybody in our town. And then, we champion our diversity through music, absolutely. And, we have many artistic and cultural events, whether it's from Carnival or Desi Fest or whatever. But being explicit about why we're coming together through music to challenge hate and challenge racism, I think is really important. And yesterday, we had a big day in Parliament, and that's maybe not a discussion for today, but I actually met, I was working a lot with Kim Ledbetter, who led a particular piece of legislation through, but I met her mum, Jean. And Jean was also the mum of Joe Cox, who was killed by a far-right, someone who had far-right tendencies. I won't call them an activist because that would give them too much credit. But we ended up having a small chat, and we ended up saying that actually we have more in common that unites us than divides us. And I thought that was really apt before coming to today. So we mustn't lose sight of that even in our wide diversities, we all have more in common than that divides us. And so we need to work together and stand up, against hatred, against those who want to remove our voices. So we must stand up for democracy, because that's the way that everybody gets to have their say. And that's a message when I go out and about talking to children in schools as an MP, which is a real privilege. Really important that you use your voice, you have your say, and we challenge hatred and intolerance. And that's why, when we saw the racist incidents over the summer and the violence, I decided at the Love Luton Run Fest to walk, we'll lose the word run, to walk 5k, wearing my Show Racism the Red Card t-shirt. And Show Racism the Red Card is a fantastic anti-racist educational charity that does a lot of work with children and young people in schools, because we know that understanding each other helps create unity and stands against division. And I wanted to make sure that, not only I raised a few quid, not a lot, I'm a middle-aged woman, but I wanted to raise awareness. I think it's really important now more than ever, which is why Love Music, Hate Racism is
coming back again, that we absolutely stand together again to challenge racism and hate wherever it is. So I just think, another thing that unites us is sport, depending what team you are, But actually that's where Show Racism the Red Card came through, and it used the power of football as a reason to bring people together as well. So we'll enjoy music today. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, brilliant lineup. So thank you to everybody again, and it's a real privilege to speak to you today, so thanks a lot. Cheers.